So
Okay.
this video provides us with a pretty good juxtaposition from the first topic that we went in on.
Lord have mercy.
So this here, I would categorize this chick as a Western woman. She definitely, correct me if I'm wrong or if you believe, think anything different, but I would put her into the westernized bucket.
Uh,
I would definitely put her into the westernized bucket. So this woman here is explaining why she only deals with men who can fund her lifestyle, I guess
mm,
is the right way to preface, before we share this. So we'll just go ahead and play it. I wanted to talk about the Ali Drummond clip first before we got into this because I think that it provides a good juxtaposition between what is Western ideology and what might not necessarily be Western ideology. So we'll go ahead and play this and then we'll react to it afterwards.
This is why I feel you need to fuck with men that are going to do something for you on a monetary level, make your life easier, pay for nails, gifts, etc. Today I was having a tough day, wasn't feeling that good. I looked down at my wrist. Okay, a man bought me this watch. I looked down at it and I was like, oh, like this is shiny and there's diamonds on it, and I deserve diamonds, and it made me feel better. You know what I'm saying? Like I like my watch. The same gentleman bought me a designer handbag. Every time I wear that bag, I love it. I get compliments on that bag. You understand? That does not equate to a man telling you on a rough day, no, that sucks that you're having a rough day. What the fuck does that do for me? Especially coming out of a man's mouth. Because you know everything that comes out of a man's mouth is utter fucking trash and garbage and it doesn't mean anything. Do something for me. Okay? Make my life easier. And if you can't do that, I ain't got shit for you.
that face that she was making right there at the end completely encapsulates what's going on in her brain. This woman is out of her mind. I'm just getting right into it. The thing with, is she Western or not? Is she modern or not? What is this? She's referring to the watch. So when she wakes up, the watch makes her feel better that her life is shardy. So then what she has to do is she has to get money out of more men instead of getting it herself, so she can have more nice things around her for when she wakes up in the morning, she can feel better again, because every time she goes to sleep at night, she feels like crap. So why do you go to sleep feeling like crap and waking up in the morning all the time feeling like crap? Can we get to that? Can we address that?
It's a
Is
very
it
good question.
yeah, is it correlated to the lifestyle you may be living possibly? So in order for this narcissist to continue to function, she needs more supply. And this woman's supply, outside of attention, I'm sure, because I can't even see what her real skin complexion looks like, at least far as her face is concerned, because there's so much foundation and foolishness going on with it. But she's sitting here living a life as a lie, completely narcissistic, completely absorbing men of everything that they have. So she loves attention and she loves money, apparently. And so with this type of modern thinking, what does she bring to the table? Now, this woman may argue she is the table. I
Mm-hmm.
would also argue that she has the mindset of a table. All right. I would also argue that she brings as much to the table as a table would bring to a table. Okay. So she doesn't have much going for her outside of her looks, apparently. All right. But yeah, this is absolute madness. One thing, and I'll touch on this and I'll let you go. What has happened? So when I took psychology courses, and this was in my junior year in college, I was learning about concepts that I had no idea about. I went all the way up until that point in my life doing some of the stuff that's in the DSM. Everybody in the class was feeling the same way. So they asked the professor, say, hey, I do a little bit of this. And then she was telling everybody, okay, all right, calm down, calm down. Everybody's on the spectrum of these things. Okay, fair. But it's when it becomes clinical, when it starts to eat away at your life, eat away at other people's lives, blasey splees. So if you do have certain things that you do here and you are on a spectrum, hey, correct those. You don't have to go that way. And while I was taking that class and others, I said, why don't they teach psychology in middle school and high school? Like, I needed to know this stuff when I was developing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school for that. There's people who have zero concepts. Now, they may know of psychological terms like sociopath, narcissistic, and all these other things. They may know of these terms, but they don't understand how psychology works, coping and various strategies to use to get through life. So when you have these people who have never had adequate mental development, you get these adults who act like children. And so this woman here, completely irrational, completely emotionally imbalanced. It don't take long, fellas. You can figure this out in less than a minute. And this woman here told us everything that we needed to know about her mentality. So I'll weigh in more about the overall psychosis that's going on in America, but this is a good little microcosm of what's going on across the entire population, I would argue. But how do you feel about this, bro?
This is the type of woman who you make sign an NDA before you smash. So, Drake, we talked about Drake last week. Drake is infamous for his NDAs because of his trysts that he has with women. This is the type of chick that Drake sleeps with, which is why I kind of feel like, and this is somewhat off topic, but kind of also on topic at the same time. I do not believe that Drake is actually in search of a wife, because in order for you to be as smart as you are, but still indulge or spend your time with women of this ilk, and you know what you're dealing with, hence why you make them sign documents like NDAs, speaks to my indication that you're not really about that relationship / marriage life, even though you often talk about how you struggle with the duality of it because you want to do it, but you don't necessarily live the type of lifestyle that can provide it for you. No, you do. You just choose not to because you really don't want it. Yeah, that's the type of chick that you make sign an NDA. Just like, okay, so yes, this is the female version of people who grew up devoid of the ability to understand concepts related to mental processes. But just like there are women such as this who grew up without learning those skills, because they are skills, you don't just come out of the womb with it. You have to actually cultivate these things and understand them and actually learn them and use them. There's men on the other side who grew up with the same absence of those cognitive skills. And those are the men who afford women like this with the, in her mind, right to think this way. Because I've mentioned the idea of progeniting behavior often on this channel. And this rings true to me now with this particular topic. As chemically and emotionally imbalanced as she in all likelihood is, as in need of a therapist as she in all likelihood is, she nevertheless can operate throughout life believing that she is in the right, because there are men who are willing to affirm these assertions for her. And that to me is the greatest tragedy in all of this. See, it doesn't matter how much people such as you or me, or even Ali Drummond, for example, it doesn't matter how often we can say, yo, chica, you going about this the wrong way. There's always going to be a beta male, a simp, a man who is devoid of his own cognitive wherewithal to understand the right types of mental processes, who's going to swoop in and buy her whatever she wants so that he can buy her presents for however long the rental lasts. There's always going to be men who are willing to do this. And as long as there are men who are willing to do this, there's always going to be women who think like this, who go out and they operate this way, looking to be resource extractors from men. And you cannot convince them that they are not correct in the way that they're going about living life, because they will always have some sponsor somewhere who's willing to fund it. So as much as I'd like to look at, people like her and say, this is westernized ideology, this is where we're all going wrong, you know, ironically, she in her mind probably feel as though she's wifey material. She probably feels as though she should be married. She thinks that she would make a good wife for a husband. She thinks that she's worthy of having a ring put on her finger. And she can literally make a video like that, but then once she hits the red stop button on her phone, she'll go on to somebody's podcast talking about how she would make a great wife and a great girlfriend and be a great life partner. But you think and act this way. Where is that coming from? I think you hit the nail on the head, that it comes from a lack of knowing based upon, you know, and this opens up a can of worms about the educational system and all of that kind of stuff if we really wanted to go down the rabbit hole that far, that deeply. But yeah, this is just not understanding mental processes and coping mechanisms, and how ideologies such as this factor into all of that. So because she lives a slowish, thoughtish, imbalanced lifestyle, purses and watches and handbags and, I don't know, first class flights and cars, those are her coping mechanisms. Those are the things that she receives in return for her thoughtish lifestyle that make her reconcile some of the damaging and destructive decisions that she continues to make throughout her life. But again, the greatest tragedy in all of this is not that she lives the lifestyle in and of itself, but it's that there are men who give her the ability to live the lifestyle, who afford her with that ability. So, at this point, if you've watched previous videos on this channel and you've heard me speak on this, I'll say it again, even though I'm starting to sound like a broken record. This is not going to stop until these dudes everywhere stop tricking, which they won't. Stop being sugar daddies, which they won't. Stop rewarding these women's self-destructive nature and behavior by buying them things, which they won't. Stop creating an environment in which relationships between men and women are all about business transactions and materialistic possessions, which they won't. But until they do, we'll continue to get this stuff. And so I just kind of find myself once again talking to the men out there saying, y'all need to stop this, because this is the monster that you're creating. This is the epidemic that you're causing. But, these words fall on deaf ears because, these dudes out here, they're weak, they're effeminate, they're emotionally weak, they're imbalanced mentally. And they use their money and their possessions in order to fill their own gaping holes, and to provide them with their own source of coping mechanisms for things that they otherwise lack, that make human beings whole humans, such as adequate social skills and reasonable coping habits like talking things out and discussions, and putting things all on the table so that everyone knows where they're coming from on either side. As long as men understand the importance of these things, you'll have crazy women like this saying crazy stuff like this, and they'll continue to be rewarded for it by these weak beta dudes buying their time, buying their vaginas, buying their presence. Women like this are so far gone, she probably gets more sexual satisfaction from getting a new handbag than actually having sex. She probably receives more actual stimulation from getting a new watch or having somebody buy her a car than from an actual genuine connection with a human being. She receives more sexual satisfaction from getting a new car than actually having sex. And there's women like this all over the place, and they're being funded by men who don't have a clue. And so until these dudes get a clue, this will continue to be an issue.
Yeah, well said. I'll say this. I said this before in the previous one, and is that women women are a reflection of the universe. All right. Yeah, I'm about to go there with this. All right. And when you're dealing with women, women are asking men to do what men are supposed to be doing. Men are supposed to be doing it. Now, the figures and making all this money, I'll get to all of that. But the things that they ask for in a man, all right, is everything that a man is more or less capable of doing outside of height. All right. Most of it, a man can just go ahead and get those things done. Now, when we're dealing with uh why I say that they're a reflection or a manifestation, kind of like a human form of the universe. If you're doing what you need to do on your path, you get women. You get a lot of them. And what's wrong with that? So some of these women that they'll ask you, oh, you got to have this, you got to do that, you got to be confident, you got to make this kind of money, don't you want that kind of money, bro? Don't you want to have more self-confidence than you already have right now? Don't you want to be in shape if you're not in shape? There's a lot of things that they're asking for that's not really off the wall crazy.
Correct.
So if you actually do what the universe is telling you to do as a man, then at that point, you'll have more women than you can handle. And so there's two sides to this. There's the side of them being unrealistic because the inception that most of these women have gotten is that they still wouldn't be satisfied. So even if you did all of this stuff, they'll just find the guy who makes more, or they'll just, divorce you or get weird, who knows? They got bored. It's all kinds of crap, right? But the point I'm making is that being on your path is what you were ordained to do when you got here. So when you came here on earth, you had a life mission. And who knows what that mission is but yourself. And you know where you want to go in your life. And you have to be unapologetic about that goal. Unfortunately, okay, a wife that we were sold a romanticized version of is not necessarily a part of your personal mission. Now, hear me out. So once you go on your personal mission, nothing is more important than your own personal mission. That's forever your child, your baby, what have you. A woman, and most guys, if not all guys know this, once that baby pops out of that woman, all right, she now loves that baby more than she loves you. She loves that baby more than she loves the marriage. It's her and that baby. And then you're like third. You were number one on the list. Now you're like third. You're never going to receive the love that you personally got from your mom if you had a loving mom. So trying to find that in another woman, you're already taking a wrong step. So what can you love and what can love you as much as your mama loved you? Only you can love you as hard as your mama loves you. And loving your goals and your passions will love, and those will love you back. Putting your energy into those spaces, you will have greater self-respect, greater boundaries. All right. Women like this, you can weed them out. All right. So the goal here, fellas, is to stay on task and to go towards your goals. All right. Indiscriminately. And don't let any woman gaslight you to get you off your task, to get you off your goals, or what have you. The money comes abundantly. All right. The women come abundantly. All right. Then at that point, you'll have, the pick of the litter, so to speak. And you can actually choose the woman through a much richer pool than, happenstance. So to tie it into them being a reflection of the universe, they're verbally articulating what the universe wants you to do as a man. Be healthy, be in shape. All right. Get on your job. All right. Elevate, create your own empires. Okay. These are things that as men we need to work on doing. And we have also been conditioned in the West here through commercialization and other forms of foolishness that took us off of being our own bosses and emperors and creators of our own world. Instead, we swipe badges, all right, do these forms of manual physical labor. If you're not a physical labor man, you're sitting in some cubicle. And if you're not sitting in some cubicle, you're working from home. But it's all under somebody else's umbrella, vision, and goal. So there has to be a level of separating yourself from the chain gang, because that's what you're in, and building something for yourself. And so, and by doing that, you'll have a fulfillment that you'll never get from any of these thoughts. Excuse my French. All right. But yeah, so let this woman have at it. And those simps who made it, who are westernized conditioned, all right, because that's another angle of masculinity being targeted, because there's just more simps being bred every day. And westernized, yeah, westernized media pushing men to be more soy based, be more feminine, have less masculine standards, have no frame at all, just shaming men into being women with penises.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With all of this madness going on, this is where guys are on OnlyFans just tricking off, all kinds of money. This is where guys are buying this woman here, so basic and lame, a watch. And I'm pretty sure it's an expensive one. All right. She's laying up in some hotel room, right, that she probably just finished working in. So my whole thing here, fellas, is get on your job, get on your task, fulfill things within yourself, trying to find that love, air quote, in a woman. All right. I'm not saying you can't love nobody else. What I'm saying is that love that you looking for, and I think you know what I'm talking about. That's the kind of love that you have to put into your own passion and goals. And life will reward you back for that. So long spill there, but had to mention that at some point in this conversation, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. It's sad. More guys do need to heed that kind of stuff. It's crazy. But it's just, I've talked often about the trickle down effect. And so what's dangerous, so women like this, these are the women who are going to, they're going to the clubs or the parties when they know that the rappers or the NBA players are going to be in the club that night. And their goal is to try and get one of those guys.
Yep.
But when they make their videos, they're disseminating that foolishness to women who live in regular world. And so women in regular world are now emulating this behavior. They're copying the ideology because they believe that is, they believe that that's the normal way to operate things, which is, that is westernized mentality on a whole. It's the spreading of that type of thought process to every aspect of, life, on every socioeconomic level. Even if it's on a level socioeconomically to which it does not pertain. And you got guys who are in regular world to whom this would not apply, but they're nevertheless being victimized by it because they're just being forced into a situation in which they have to either comply or go their own way. And most guys, because they don't know any better, are choosing to comply. And so it's perpetuating, the problem is perpetuating upon itself, because you got guys who are in regular world who are saying, this is what I need to do. Buy her purses, watches, bags, whatever I got to do in order to play the game. And so what we're, I think, trying to suggest is that you don't necessarily have to play the game, but also understand the importance of being on your purpose. But you do have to know how to spot these things when you encounter them. This is not a game that you have to play. It's a game that I don't recommend that you play. And, the way that I kind of talked about, in the previous topic that we went over, there's ways to get what you want and not be victimized by this dynamic necessarily. And to your point, being on your job is definitely one of those ways to sidestep it, in addition to being able to understand the importance of strategically putting yourself in the right types of environments.
Yeah.
Because trust and believe, chicks like this are in the wrong environments.
Yeah.
And so if you're in those wrong environments, this is what you're going to run up on.
Well, these type of fish don't swim in fresh water. All right, they're only in the saltiest of bays and saltiest of seas. All right, known as clubs and bars. All right, and dating apps. All right, so I ain't mean to interrupt, but you're right, man. Take your rod, okay, and head to some fresh water, sir.
Yeah.
All right, and stop catching these women. All right, that's been exposed to all of this salt and all of these harmful plastics and chemicals in these seas. All right, but my bad, bro. Keep going, man. But yeah, good.
No. That's it. That's a good way to end it. And yeah, just don't take your talents to South Beach. Just don't take your talents to South Beach. I know it's easier. Like it might sound easier said than done, but it really isn't. It really isn't, man. One strategic decision can change your fortunes entirely when it comes to this stuff. And you'd be amazed how quickly your fortunes can change. But yeah, you get out of those salty waters. I mean, doing that stuff when you have something is cool, or at least having the right expectations when you go to places like that. I'm not trying to say stay, because I might go to a club or a bar or a lounge from time to time, but my expectations are what they are. Right. So as long as you have the right expectations and you know that your identity as a man extends far beyond the reaches of the confines of this place, you'll be fine. But if you're just living for the weekend and you're not building your empire or doing whatever it is that you should be doing outside of, however you earn your paycheck or whatever you do to earn a living, and you're living for the weekend and you're living to inhabit these places that are polluted, you're going to get the results that you're going to get. So just don't be surprised when she tells you that she doesn't really care what you say or do. She just wants you to buy that watch. Do for her, because otherwise she just doesn't care about you. So
yeah, she ain't gonna do nothing for you either. But sit
well,
there and look at you crazy.
Exactly. And she's not going to do anything that any other vagina can't do. I'll put it that way. So
well said. Well said.